Hello everyone, this is Jennifer Kumar from Authentic Journeys and part 2 of a two-part tutorial on how to set up and send a calendar invite. In part 1, I helped you with the default time zone of your calendar app. This tutorial will take a little longer because there's a couple steps in actually setting up and sending your calendar invite. The first step is actually requesting the meeting. The second is actually setting up and sending the invite. So when you're requesting the meeting, there's a few times, two different times you can probably do this, especially on a virtual team where you're in India and your client or colleague is in the US. One is when you're wrapping up the last meeting you're in or the current meeting you're in. As you're closing the meeting, you can request the next meeting by the use of a question with a questioning tone at the end, like, would you like to meet next week at the same time? Etc. But if it's an email, what you want to make sure is that you're not writing it like this. You don't want to write it like a statement with a full stop at the end, because this is considered commanding and demanding to most Americans, or an answer to a question that was asked by David in a previous email. So this would have been an email thread rather than, initiating an email thread. So we can change that to this. And you can see there's some small talk in the beginning to kind of set the context, especially for those of you who, are taking over or doing this for the first time. You can set the context. Then the second section here is just kind of stating what the normal time is, and then requesting if this is okay for next week, and using both the IST and your client's local time zone time in there as well, and ending that with a question mark, very important, and then some small talk at the end. And one thing that we could add here is also thank you, with the correct spelling. The more, you can never say thanks enough or thank you enough to your US counterpart. So once you send this, as we say, the ball is in motion. So I would suggest sending this as soon as possible after your previous Tuesday meeting, or at least before Thursday evening IST, so that you would have a response by Friday. Now, in the most ideal case, David will respond with yes, this works out. So then at that point you would set up work. Then you have to exchange one more set of emails. So that will extend that maybe to Monday, which is really cutting it close. So you really want to try to send this calendar invite on Tuesday evening IST or Wednesday morning IST at the latest, really. So when you go to set up your calendar invite, you go into your calendar. Now, before I show you this, I want you to take a look at a couple of these. Your client or colleague probably has a much fuller schedule than this. This is all dummy data, but you do want something that sticks out, that, when your client or colleague sees it, they know it's you. So some of this we don't really know who sent that meeting invite, like one-on-one meeting. That could be with anyone, right? Training program, depending on how busy this person is. I mean, what could that be? It could be a training program for anything. We really don't know. Like if they had a training program here, here, here. So we don't want it to be vague. This might be a little better, because when the person looks at it, he knows he's going to be talking to Hector. He knows he's going to be talking to Jennifer. There's two Jennifers there, a lot of Jennifers everywhere. Release 3, and that says meeting. So this one, you can see that the characters run out of space, so you also want to try to be careful of that. So we knew, he said yes to March 17th at 7 p.m. IST, so we can start it from here by clicking on the date we want the invite to be sent from, and a box should pop up. Actually, this didn't render the way I wanted to, so let's see if I can click out of this. Can just set it up straight from the calendar. Time zone, we want to click. A box pops right up here, right over the calendar. And it didn't do that again. I don't know why. Let's see. I do have to go into this. Let me try it one more time. I'm not sure why it's not actually working. I just want to be able to demonstrate this. In fact, if it goes straight to that, it's probably a good idea because you don't have to worry about double clicking in. But normally when you just click on the date, it should pop up with an option to just enter the meeting details right from here. Yes. So as you can see here, though, there's no option for adding the time zone. You can add a time, but not a time zone. So you would get this screen that we already saw. I wanted this to be here just because I have some other email IDs that are showing from here that are confidential. So this one already has a dummy email ID in there. So like we know we're meeting with David, but David knows who he is. And hopefully your schedule is not too crowded. But maybe we could come up with something that, when he sees it, it would catch his eye and know it's you or your company or your team. So we could say stand up. Use the slash, and then you can put your name or your company's name or your team's name or your project name. So stand up for Do It app, for instance. So hopefully that would be very catchy and not, not it would stand out among the others, so that when he sees it, he would know exactly what to ask the calendar, and like that meeting 3 thing did. So we also have to put in the time. So right now it shows all day, and that's kind of a default for some reason. So it was supposed to be, and it's for 1 hour, so we just changed this. Now the thing is that if you don't choose the time zone here, which you can't do from just this, when your client in the US accepts it, it will show up as 7 p.m. in their local time zone. That's happened quite a few times when I've tried to set up meetings between the US and India. So correctly on their calendar as well, you want to click time zones and make your default time zone that we already set from the previous tutorial should show up here. You can press on that, so then it will actually render here. And then you can do something else. If you have a little bit of an agenda or points of discussion, you can add that here, and then you can press save, and then it should ask you if you want it to send to this particular email ID, and you can press yes, and hopefully there's no actual email ID like this because it's all, and now it should render right here. So it's showing an IST. So again, just like what I had done with the default time zone in part 1, if I went in and changed it, then it would show the MST time here. And hopefully when David gets it and accepts it, it will render on his calendar with the correct time, which from the email was 7:30 a.m. MST. So if you go through this process, you'll create a good impression with your client or colleague in the US. This will help build a good relationship with them, and between you and your company and your team as well. So if you have any comments or questions, you can always reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And don't forget the most important thing, now that you've sent this, make sure you're on time. Enter the virtual meeting room at least 5 minutes early. So 10 or 15 minutes, the system and everything on your own. And that way you can start exactly on time at 7 p.m. All right, good luck, and I'll see you later. Bye.